Hello and welcome to Sports Fan Entertainment, here with yet another 2019 NFL free agency video, and this might be the final 2019 NFL free agency video. Most of the big signings and trades are out of the way. There's still a good amount of free agents out there, and I think I might come back next week and do a post free agency power ranking. But in terms of me talking about signings, I think this will be the last one. So we're going to talk about 5 teams today. I'll put the chapter times in the description box in the comments below. We're going to discuss the Jets, the 49ers, the Ravens, the Bills, the Packers. Already talked about the Titans, already talked about the Browns, already talked about, I think, the Raiders as well. If you didn't get talked about, I'm sorry, your team didn't do enough for me to talk about you, but I'll probably talk about you a little bit next week in my power rankings, so just stay tuned for that, and then we'll be onward to the 2019 NFL Draft and more NFL Draft coverage. So let us begin with the New York Jets, as they signed a couple of players, and we're going to start with Le'Veon Bell, the running back formerly of the Pittsburgh Steelers. 4 years, $52 million. Now, the big discussion right now is whether or not Le'Veon Bell got his just due by sitting out the entire 2018 NFL season, betting on himself and coming down with this 4-year, $52 million contract. Now, I'm not sure what exactly the Steelers were offering, but I presume it was about this, maybe only 3-year extension, but it was probably about this. So it just depends up to him whether or not he really truly wanted to remain a Pittsburgh Steeler, and it sounded like he did, but now you can tell, relations between the two teams were, now distant. It was time for him to move on, and he's now moved on to New York. So I think it's fine. I mean, he's lost out on a year's worth of money, and that definitely stings, and I think he would have preferred to have that, but I think for all intents and purposes, dude, he has that $52 million contract here. He'll be fine. He'll be better than all of us. I can guarantee you that. So 4 years, $52 million. So for the Jets, I like this deal. I still think he has a lot left in the tank. Hopefully, he's not been eating too many or drinking too many pina coladas down in Miami. Hopefully, he hasn't been hanging out with too much, Dwayne Wade's and the other celebrities down there in Miami. Hopefully, he's been working on his craft during the offseason, during the regular season, during this year off. If he has, I expect him to come into New York and be able to really help lift this offense, push this offense to the next level, because I'm still not projecting their passing offense to take a huge step unless they come down with the wide receiver that I'm not projecting right now to go in the first or second round, and then that guy comes in and is a superstar from the beginning. Outside of that, I don't see a very prolific passing offense from the Jets this season. It can definitely be okay, but don't expect to be a top 10 passing offense, right? So they're going to want to lean on the run game, and Le'Veon Bell will definitely help with that. So I like this deal. They also got CJ Mosley, 5-year, $85 million. I don't love this deal. Now, CJ Mosley is a good linebacker, okay, without a doubt, but you just made him the highest paid inside linebacker in the league, and it's not even close. I mean, it's about by $3 or $4 million per year between CJ Mosley and the next guy, who is now Quan Alexander. It's not even Luke Kuechly, okay? It goes now CJ Mosley, Quan Alexander, and then Luke Kuechly, and this is ridiculous. It is CJ Mosley by a good amount. It's too much money. It's too much money for CJ Mosley. Now, I will give you a little bit of slack. In fact, I'll give you a good amount of slack, because you have so much cap space, it doesn't matter. The Jets cupboard is damn near bare, okay? Finally, they have some talent in there. They got Sam Darnold. They just signed Le'Veon Bell. Tremaine Johnson, they signed last year. Leonard Williams is there. Henry Anderson, they picked him up and they re-signed him. So now the cupboard isn't completely bare, but the roster's pretty damn bare. It's pretty damn blank, and we just need to start filling people in there. So I understand that you need to overpay for some people just to put some damn names on the paper. So I'm okay with this. I wouldn't have done this because, man, this is a lot of money, but I think he'll still be good, but just not worth this contract. This was just too much money, and I think Jets fans can agree with that. Next deal, Jamison Crowder, 3 years, $28.5 million. And again, it's too much money, especially for a guy that last year missed most of last season, disappointed last season when the Redskins expected him to take a step forward to being their #1 target. He was anything but last season. Yes, he missed about half the season, but even in that half that he played, he wasn't very impressive. Now, there's not much guaranteed money in this deal, so it really doesn't matter, but you still need a #1 wide receiver to me. I like Robbie Anderson, Quincy Numa, offer some things. Jamison Crowder, to me, is on the edge of the league. I mean, it would not surprise me if in 3 years, Jamison Crowder's out of the league. I mean, I'm not that convinced about Jamison Crowder and his talent right now, and also his ability to stay healthy, so I'm not on the Jamison Crowder train. I don't think this contract's very good, but I don't think it's going to matter again because the Jets just have so much damn money to spend. Might as well throw it somewhere. And speaking of that, they also traded for Kelechi Osemele, the former guard of the Oakland Raiders, now of the New York Jets. They traded Osemele and a 6th to the Jets in exchange for a 5th round pick. So the picks don't really matter. I mean, who cares about that? The thing is, you're accepting Kelechi Osemele, and last season he did not play well. He had his first really bad season in his NFL career. Hopefully you're able to get something out of him. Only 2 years left on his deal, but those 2 years about $20 million worth, so he's expensive there. Hopefully he's able to do some things for you. Again, I'm okay with it. Look, I got it. Yeah, you have money to spend, but the thing is, this free agency class was just not very strong, and you guys just had so much money, so you just said, well, let's just do what we can. Let's just, you know, spend the money just to spend it. I might have just saved some more of this money and just waited till next year. Now, these guys will help you. I mean, don't get me wrong. They will help you in terms of winning games this year. But I just think you just probably should have waited because I'm not really in love with... I mean, obviously, Le'Veon Bell is very good. And CJ Mosley is a good player. But Crowder and Osemele, at this point, I just don't know if it's worth it. But, you know, whatever. If you want to spend the money, go ahead and spend the freaking money. I understand. You might as well spend it. So, okay, fine. But I don't know if I would have done it. If I'm the owner and I'm writing these checks, I'm not happy writing an $11 million check to Kelechi Osemele. I'm just not happy about that. With that, so we move on to the 49ers, who first traded for outside linebacker, now defensive end Dee Ford, formerly of the Kansas City Chiefs. They traded a 2020 second-round draft pick for Dee Ford. And they also gave him a 5-year, $87.5 million deal as well. Dee Ford was scheduled to be on the franchise tag, but he will now serve under this 5-year deal. And this is a deal that I really, really like for the San Francisco 49ers. Now, there is the question of fit, okay, because Dee Ford is coming from a 3-4 scheme, and he is a linebacker that is pretty light on his feet. All right, so can he move down to 4-3 defensive end? Can he play there? Now, they're planning on playing him wide 9. Kyle Shanahan was very specific about that in the press conference, discussing their free agency signings, discussing Dee Ford, saying we're going to play him in the wide 9 technique, and that's a very similar technique. It really was pretty much the same technique that he played at the 3-4 for Kansas City, so I'm okay with that. Split him out wide, let him rush, let him stand up and rush if he wants to, let him put his hand down in the dirt, whatever he has to do to get to the quarterback effectively. So they're going to accommodate for him, so I'm down for this. Now, Dee Ford had a great year last year. The year before that, he missed almost more than half the season. He probably missed 10 games. And then the 2 years before that, he was a little disappointing. Last year, he was great. So the question is, was last year an aberration? Did he do that because it was a contract year? Or is he really finally ready to ascend to being a consistent elite pass rusher in the NFL? He was definitely elite last season. Can he continue that production? I think he will, but if he doesn't, this contract will be horrible. So there's a little risk here, but I like it because, again, you guys have money to spend, and this is a high potential player. Hey, and we already saw the big productive season that he had, so I'm okay with this one. The 49ers also bet on another young guy in Quan Alexander, 4 years, $54 million. And this I don't love. Now, he has the potential to still be a really good linebacker in this league, and his best year was probably his second year. His sophomore year in the NFL had over 100 combined tackles, almost like 140 combined tackles, and really played well that year. But last year was definitely disappointing. Year before that was also disappointing. We expected him to ascend to being a Pro Bowler, didn't quite do so. The good thing is he's only 24 years old, so that is extremely young. You can continue to get more out of him, continue to teach him, continue to mold him. But $54 million is a price to pay for potential, right? We don't give that kind of money to draft picks, and that's kind of what he's getting here. I mean, he's a little more experienced than a draft pick, but not much more. Okay, so it's a little bit of a question for me. He hasn't proven enough for me, but again, you're just trying to fill positions. The cupboard is pretty bare for you guys defensively, especially with your linebacker core. Now that Reuben Baboon Foster, right, that's my boy Baboon Foster, is now out of the team, right? So I understand just filling the position, and hopefully he reaches his potential, but I'm not in love with this deal right now. Next deal, though, I am in love with. As you guys get Tevin Coleman for 2 years, $8.5 million, and a maximum of $10 million if he reaches incentives. I love this deal. Now, some people think that Tevin Coleman is overrated, and that's fine. This is a cheap deal. You're talking about $4.5 mil, $4.25 mil per year if he reaches incentives, about $5 mil per year, and this could be your starting running back. In fact, I like him to be your starting running back. I like Tevin Coleman more than Jerick McKinnon. I've never been a Jerick McKinnon fan. I don't know why people are in love with Jerick McKinnon. I've never understood this fascination with him. Tevin Coleman Coleman, albeit in relief of Devontae Freeman, has been very impressive. He has one of the fastest accelerations in the league. He's able to reach his top speed very regularly in this NFL league, and you're just able to see him really make an impact even in relief of Devontae Freeman. I think he could end up being a top 15 running back in this league, and this is a cheap deal here. You can get it for 2 years, get a lot of production out of him. If he proves himself, re-sign him, and then you have to pay him. But he's still young, so has a lot of potential. I absolutely love this deal, and I also love the other deal, the next deal, Jason Verrett, who signed for a 1-year, $3.6 million prove-it deal. Now, Jason Verrett is a guy that's been injured in his NFL career. Charger fans will tell you that again and again and again, but this guy has all-pro potential. We saw that with the LA, then San Diego Chargers. This guy, when he was on the field, was dominant for the LA Chargers, was able to make a consistent impact, and this is such a cheap deal. 1 year, prove it. Let's see what you got. If he's able to stay healthy and prove himself, you re-sign him. You have someone opposite of Richard Sherman that can really slow down opposing wide receivers. So I love these two deals. Okay, yes, they're young, but they still have a lot of potential. We're getting them cheap. We want them to prove themselves. All right. Quan, I don't love. D4, I like. All right, so, you know, a mixed bag here, but a pretty good bag for the San Francisco 49ers. Baltimore Ravens made two deals that I absolutely love. Okay, first of all, they signed Earl Thomas, 4 years, $55 million, and this is in line with what he deserves. Yes, he's being paid as the best safety as the NFL, but he's pretty much the best safety in the NFL, so I'm okay with it. Now, last season, we know he went down due to injury, but if there's anyone I'm going to bet on to come back from injury, to work hard, and to be able to still analyze the field, analyze it well, and being able to come down when he needs to, being able to go back when he needs to, being able to diagnose when quarterbacks are trying to trick him and wide receivers are trying to trick him, go over the top, trying to stay underneath, trying to run go routes, trying to run corner routes. I expect Earl Thomas to come in and do that for me, be able to come down and make an impact in the run game. Earl Thomas is going to give that to me. He's going to give me his all every single week. I love this deal for the Baltimore Ravens. You saw how great of a deal Eric Weddle was for you guys a couple years ago. Now you're bringing in Earl Thomas. I expect even more from Earl Thomas than Eric Weddle gave you, and that's saying a lot. I love this deal. And then couple that with Mark Ingram, only 3 years, $15 million. Now, yes, he's getting older. He was drafted in 2011. He's probably about 30 at this point, but I think he's going to give you 3 good years here. I like him better than Gus Edwards, who, yes, I know he played well near the end of last season playing with Lamar Jackson. I like Mark Ingram better. You saw what a good compliment he was to Alvin Kamara. Now, he needed an Alvin Kamara, right? They had Mark Ingram, and although he was good, and everyone knew Mark Ingram was good, he wasn't good enough to make the Saints, you know, a viable Super Bowl contender. Alvin Kamara came in and really did that, right? He's what really puts him over the top to me, in my estimation. But he's still a good running back to have in this league, a decent and pretty good starting running back to have. You're complimenting him with Lamar Jackson and his running ability. So you have a brute, stern runner in Mark Ingram. Now you have a fast, sly runner in Lamar Jackson. Run some wildcat with these two. Let's see what they can do. Throw in a little Gus Edwards, throw in a little Kenny Dixon if you can actually stay healthy, which would be an absolute shock to each and every single one of us, and Buck Allen as well, and you're talking about a very dynamic running game in Baltimore, which they're going to need, because God knows Lamar Jackson can't hit a trash can consistently, let alone the wide receiver. So we're going to need a strong run game, and Mark Ingram will definitely help with that. So two great signings here for the Baltimore Ravens that will keep them in playoff contention. Next team, the Buffalo Bills. They were definitely busy as well. First of all, signing 2 wide receivers. Firstly, Cole Beasley, 4 years, $29 million. And I like this deal. It's about in line with what you expect. You know, $7 million per year for this type of slot wide receiver. I expect that. And he talked trash to the Cowboys after this signing. Someone was like, why are you going to Buffalo? You guys aren't going to win games. And he was like, well, we ain't been winning games in Dallas either, so I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, that was a good own there by Cole Beasley. He's going to come in, he's going to do his job. The question is, can Josh Allen do his job? Can he get the ball to Cole Beasley in the slot consistently and accurately? That's the question, right? Don't just zoom the ball over his head expecting Cole Beasley to jump up 10 feet, grab it, get hit in the head, and come down with it. Okay, keep the balls down. Put a little touch on the ball for once, Josh Allen. Just try to float a ball every now and then. If he can do that, we'll have a nice combination here, and I expect Cole Beasley to live up to this contract. Next, it was John Brown, 3 years, $27 million, and I can't believe the Ravens did not re-sign John Brown, who was their best wide receiver last year to me. Yes, Michael Crabtree might have had better statistics, but he was more consistent. Michael Crabtree, we know his issues in terms of drops. He leads the league in drops almost every year. He has character issues as well. John Brown, to me, was their best wide receiver last year. I don't know why they let him go. You guys take advantage of this. Good. Now you have your slot wide receiver in Cole Beasley, your outside guy in John Brown, and he is an outside guy. Don't get it twisted. Yes, he's 5'11". He is an outside guy. He plays outside. I don't want to hear about that. If you don't believe that, you don't watch the tape. Okay, Zay Jones is the other guy. Not a Zay Jones fan. We got to go get our #1 wide receiver. Now, I just mocked them to draft DK Metcalf because I think the Bills are idiots. Honestly, that's what I believe. Hopefully, they prove me wrong and they wait until the second round. In the second round, they draft a Paris Campbell, a Hollywood Brown, an AJ Brown, and a N'Keal Harry, and they stay away from this DK Metcalf conversation. But if they do, then okay, that'll be your #1. Good luck with that. But I have my problems with DK Metcalf, which we're going to discuss in the weeks to come. And then you guys also signed Mitch Morse for 4 years, $44 million. So we were doing great, Buffalo. We were doing great. We got 2 decent wide receivers. We're doing all right. And then we had to go and do this. Make Mitch Morse the highest paid center in the league. This is not very wise. Okay, Mitch Morse just isn't very good. He's an average center at best. Paying him $11 million per year is absolutely absurd to me. I understand you need a center desperately, right? We need to give Josh Allen some sort of protection, especially interior, in the interior, but Mitch Morse is not really going to provide that consistently. I think he'll be good enough to stay on your roster. I don't think you're going to cut him for the next 2 years, I'll say. But you're just gonna look and say, okay, dude, we're paying this guy way too much money for what he's giving us. So we were doing okay. Okay, at least you guys are gonna help your offense overall, and he will help. He'll be an upgrade, but just not worth the $11 million per year. I expect him to not see the 4th year of this deal. All right, and then we have the Green Bay Packers to end this video. First of all, they signed Adrian Amos, 4 years, $37 million, and this is my favorite deal by the Green Bay Packers. This is a great signing. I don't know why the Chicago Bears did not bring back Adrian Amos. Yes, I know Eddie Jackson came along last season, but Adrian Amos had been the most consistent player on that Bears defense for the past 4 years, and they let him go. Big mistake to me. The Packers filled their hole at safety, and I'm all for that. But then we have a mixed bag. From there, we have Preston Smith for 4 years, $52 million. And I'm actually okay with this deal. I don't love it. It is a little pricey for a guy that doesn't come down with huge sack totals. Now, I remember his rookie year. He had 8 sacks, and I said, oh my goodness, this guy's going to be an all-star, a Pro Bowler, should even be an all-pro guy, and then his sacks dropped off after that. Now, he had another 8-sack year, which I want to say was even last year, but he's just much more of a run stuffer than he is a pass rusher. So do you really want to pay more of a run stuffing outside linebacker $13 million per year? I don't think so, but he's still going to be a good player for you, and he still has potential to grow. So I like that as well. And Kyler Fackrell, right, your outside linebacker, formerly, I want to say out of BYU, he had 10.5 sacks last season. So we still have another guy that can rush the passer, so I'm okay with this. But then we have Zadarius Smith for 4 years, $66 million. A guy that has 18.5 career sacks, 8 of which came last season. Now, I understand he has been a rotational pass rusher. He's been in relief of Terrell Suggs, and they've rotated him and Tim Williams, the outside linebacker out of Alabama, and some other guys that they've had in Baltimore. But the thing is, man, this is premier pass rushing money. My goodness, this is $16.5 million per year. If you're paying this to a guy, you better be damn sure he is an elite pass rusher in the NFL. And Zadarius Smith is not that to me. If you put him out there on every defensive snap and you put him against your left tackle, or the opposing team's left tackle, I should say, they will shut him down more often than most. And I mean way more often than most. If you're asking other teams to game plan for him, he will be stifled. He's a guy that you see on tape is very nifty, right? He's able to catch people by surprise because he rotates in, he has all this energy, you're not able to see what's coming at you, all of a sudden he's past you, he gets a sack, and then he ends up slowing down as the game goes on, and then he comes back in the game, you're like, oh, this guy's back, and he comes back with a burst of energy. Is he an every down guy? Is he a good run stuffer consistently as well? I don't see that. And you're paying him $66 million, and I know you have to fill this roster. I know you need to get a defense for Aaron Rodgers, but this was an overpay by the Green Bay Packers here. And his 8 sacks, by the way, 3 of which came from the Tennessee Titans this season in that 11-sack game against Marcus Mariota, where everyone was eating, right? He was just eating too. So I just don't like this deal. And then Billy Turner, 4 years, $29 million. The guard, formerly of the Miami Dolphins, formerly of the Denver Broncos. I want to say he was on the Baltimore Ravens as well. He's a journeyman. In the past 3 years, he's been on the Broncos, but he's not good. This guy has not been a good guard in the NFL, and you're paying him starting guard money. And it wouldn't shock me after 1 year if this experiment fails and you say, okay, we're done with Billy Turner. He has not shown that he's a good or even decent starting guard in the NFL. I haven't seen it. I have not seen that from Billy Turner, and they gave him $29 million. I can't believe it. I think he won't see the life of this deal. I don't think he's going to see. I think after 2 years, he's done. I think they release him. I think they say what a huge mistake and we're done with this. I think after 3 years of Zadarius Smith, I think they're done with that. I think Preston Smith will restructure his deal by the 4th year, and I think they'll love Adrian Amos. I think it's a mixed bag from the Green Bay Packers. They're better, right? They're better today because these are better players than they had last year. But it could hurt you down the line, especially with that Aaron Rodgers huge contract that is bottlenecking the offense. So with that said, those are my thoughts on the recent NFL free agency transactions. What are your thoughts? Comment down below. I want to know. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, to subscribe. And until the next time, this has been MJ of Sports Fan Entertainment, and I'm out. See you all later.